Hello and welcome to Dott TV News at 4. I am Priscilla Ifani and here are the stories we have for you. Delta State House of Assembly on Thursday passed the revised Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2025 after its third reading. The House also passed the Delta State Public and Private Properties Protection Amendment Bill 2026 during plenary presided over by the Speaker of the House, Momotimi Gowa. The report.
At plenary, Deputy Chairman of the House Committee on Finance and Appropriation and member representing Patani constituency, Emmanuel Senebe, presented the report of the committee on the revised Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2025. Senebe said based on observations and findings of the committee, it recommended the approval of the revised bill having 510 billion 98,435,893 naira as recurrent expenditure and the sum of 669,130,382,826 naira as capital expenditure, while the total budget size remains 1,278,228,818,719 naira. The committee, in its recommendations, further mandated all MDAs to implement strictly within the approved reverse provisions and also directed the Ministry of Economic Planning, Accountant General and Budget Office to strengthen budgetary controls to reduce post-budget cycle revisions.
Observation 1. Constitutional compliance. That the solution is in accordance with the section 1214 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. 2. Purpose of realignment. That the amount realigned relates to specific sub-aid to address critical needs of the state. 3. The expenditure needs that a need has arrived from expenditure on purposes for which no amount was appropriated in the previous law.
The House therefore adopted the recommendations of the committee and suspended relevant standing orders to enable the third reading and passage of the bill. Following a motion by the leader Emeka Nwobi and seconded by the Deputy Speaker Atokpo, the bill was read the third time and passed.
20 naira only, and the revised capital expenditure will be 669 billion 130 million 382,399 naira only for the services of the year ending on the 31st day of December 2025, and to appropriate same for the purposes specified in the law. Third reading and passed.
Similarly, the House suspended relevant rules to take the third reading and passage of the Delta State Public and Private Properties Protection Amendment Bill 2026. Leader of the House, Nwobi, in a motion seconded by the member representing Patani constituency, Emmanuel Senebe, the bill was read the third time and passed. Commending the lawmakers for their diligence to duty, the Speaker, Momotimi Gowa, said the passage of the bill underscores their commitment as legislators to strengthen the legal framework for the protection of public and private properties in the state.
By the member representing Oshun South that this Honorable House do not receive the report from the House Committee on Finance and Appropriation for further consideration. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
With the passage of both bills, the 8th Assembly of the Delta State House of Assembly has yet again demonstrated its unwavering resolve to continue to collaborate with the executive in fostering good governance. Emeka Okonkwo reporting for Dott TV News.
Delta State government says it has activated measures to reduce the vulnerable communities.
The information from NIMET over flood in Delta State is no longer in use to us. What I mean is, we have always prepared expecting the flood in Delta State, because NIMET will always list all the states, and of which Delta State is among the states that it is expected to experience flood every year. I'm so proud to tell the public that His Excellency Right Honorable Sheriff Oborewori has set up a committee headed by the SSG and the AMDI co-chairman. It's been a practice. We don't even wait for flood to come.
Beyond preventive measures, the government says adequate arrangements have been made for residents who may be displaced by flooding. According to the commissioner, IDP camps have been identified and will be equipped with essential amenities, including food supplies, healthcare services, and educational support for children.
We have also made a preparation for IDP camps in those areas. So as I'm talking with us here, should the flood come unexpectedly, measures has also been put in place to cope it all. And of course, you can't put people in IDP camp, people who are vulnerable, who can't do anything, and just leave them there. The government has done very well to make preparation for their feeding.
The commissioner further assured residents that government intervention will continue even after the floodwaters recede. He said relief materials and other forms of assistance will be provided to the affected persons, especially those whose homes, farmlands, and sources of livelihood may be impacted, to support their recovery and help them rebuild their lives.
The government has always been putting measures in place to compensate them. After that, we also carry out investigations on how for some of these persons to be compensated as well. And some of these materials also used in the IDP camp. Some of these persons involved, they take them.
Etachere also urged residents of flood-prone communities to pay close attention to early warning advisories and cooperate with relevant authorities as the state intensifies efforts to minimize the impact of possible flooding. Reporting from Asaba, Priscilla Ifani, Dott TV News. Meanwhile, concerns over the rising cost of premium motor spirits, popularly known as petrol, continue to dominate Nigerian discussions across Nigeria. Recent reports and speculations surrounding petroleum pricing have heightened concerns amongst motorists, transport operators, and business owners, many of whom fear that any further increase in fuel prices could worsen the already high cost of living. Against this backdrop, our correspondent Victoria Monday visited some parts of Asaba to sample public opinion.
Fuel remains one of the most essential commodity in Nigeria's economy, powering transportation, businesses, and electricity generators. Commercial drivers and transport operators say the rising cost of petrol has significantly increased their operating expenses. Many explain that they now spend much more to fuel their vehicles, while passengers often express frustration whenever transportation fares are adjusted. Transport operators says they are left with little choice but to increase fares, insisting that the adjustments are necessary to keep their businesses afloat, despite complaints from commuters. Small business owners who depend on petrol power generators also express concerns, saying the cost of running their businesses continue to increase due to unreliable electricity supply and increasing fuel prices.
Fuel price is affecting our business very well, sir, because you can't buy fuel at 1,000 something. Even though you put price for a passenger, they can't pay you because they know, and everybody know this. You buy fuel at the rate of 1,000 something. You can't carry passenger of 200 naira. Okay, I want to take me top. You buy fuel 10,000 naira a day. You can't get 15,000 naira a day.
As a driver who is still under hire purchase, with the increment of fuel and from the daily expectations of balance, like the daily balance you're supposed to give to the owner of the keke as a driver, due to the increment of fuel, most days you end up buying fuel of 20,000, depending on how long you're on the road. You understand? And with this, we end up going home without money.
For many small-scale entrepreneurs, the combined challenge of unstable electricity and rising petrol costs is reducing profits and threatening the survival of their businesses. Some residents express concern that if fuel prices continue to rise, the cost of food, transportation, and other essential goods and services will also increase, placing additional financial pressure on households. They appeal to the government and stakeholders in the petroleum sector to reduce pressure and measure that would help stabilize fuel prices and make them more affordable for ordinary Nigerians.
If government can help us, we will like government to reduce the price for us so that we can enjoy our work, because we don't have anything to do. This is our work, driving. We go school, but we didn't have any work to do. So this is what we are doing for now.
Cost of oil now, cause many of my customers now, they cannot even do the business again because of transport. It's not because of the market, the high price of the market. People less power like us cannot do the business again because the thing come once. It's not come with plan. What I'm begging government that to look on this price matter, price of oil matter, like reducing the price, at least, if not to take the subsidy back, or how people like we don't know what is going inside there, but we are begging government to look on it.
While opinions differ on the best approach, many residents agree that stabilizing fuel prices would help ease the rising cost of transportation, food, and other business necessities.
Before I am brought in tomatoes here around 50 to 60 baskets to drop at Oko Market. But since this thing start, we are paying transport each basket by then 10,000 naira. My customers now, they cannot even do the business again because of transport. It's not because of the market, the high price of the market.
If you become 300, 220, people will like it.
As fuel prices continue to influence transportation costs, business operators and household expenses, residents in Asaba are calling for policy that will promote price stability and reduce the financial burden on Nigerians. Many believe that affordable and stable fuel prices are essential for economic growth, business stability, and the overall well-being of citizens. Reporting from Asaba, Victoria Monday, Dott TV News.
Thank you very much, dear Victoria. To security now. The Delta State Police Command has secured the conviction of 16 men for offenses including conspiracy, theft of government property, malicious damage, and unlawful possession of prohibited drugs. The suspects were convicted at Magistrate Court 3 Asaba on July 15, 2026 and sentenced to 3 years imprisonment each at Okwashuku Correctional Center. They were prosecuted for allegedly stealing iron rods belonging to the Delta State government and damaging government property. The suspects were also convicted for unlawful possession of 20 cups of Colorado, also known as Colos, an offense punishable under the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency Act. The Commissioner of Police, Delta State Command, Yemi Oyeni, commended the officers for the investigation, saying the conviction sends a clear message that vandalism of public assets, theft, and drug-related offenses will always attract the full weight of the law. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police in Delta State, Yemi Oyini, has called for stronger support from traditional rulers and communities in the fight against kidnapping, cultism, and drug-related crimes. Yemi Oyini made the call during a familiarization tour of the Ozoro Area Command, where he paid a courtesy visit to the OV of Ozoro, Anthony Uvietobori Obubu. The Commissioner of Police urged the monarch and residents to sustain their support for the police as they play a vital role in rural policing, stressing that effective policing and economic development are closely linked. Sadly, the gruesome murder of one Esther Adaigwe, a newly married woman, has thrown residents of Agbo in the South local government area of Delta State into grief and disbelief. Mrs. Adaigwe was reportedly attacked by unknown assailants while on her way to attend an early morning mass on Monday, July 13, 2026. Her lifeless body was later discovered along the Agbo axis of the Beni-Asaba Expressway with a fatal stab wound to the neck. The tragic incident occurred barely 1 month after her wedding to her husband, who is said to reside abroad, making the loss even more devastating for her family, friends, and the wider community. Early reports have suggested that the attack may have been motivated by robbery. However, preliminary findings later indicated that her motorcycle and mobile phones were recovered inside her residence, suggesting that the motive behind the killings remains unclear. Elsewhere, the family of the late Mary Habila, the nurse who died at the residence of the Minister of Works, David Umahi, has petitioned the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, seeking the release of her remains for burial. Mary's father, Tanko Habila, accompanied by his wife, other relatives, and their legal representatives, submitted the petition at the force headquarters in Abuja on Friday before addressing journalists. The grieving father expressed frustration that nearly 2 weeks after his daughter's death, the Ebonyi State Police Command had yet to release her body to the family. According to him, the family is not interested in an autopsy and only wants to give their daughter a proper burial. Meanwhile, Minister of Works David Umahi, who has been embroiled in the controversy regarding the death of Mary Habila, said that the disease was battling a strange illness to the extent that he personally paid over 2.2 million naira for her treatment. Addressing newsmen on the issue in Abuja, the minister said that the deceased has been battling health challenges and was receiving treatment at a Turkish hospital, with all her medical expenses paid by him. Providing details of the events leading to her death, Umahi said that Habila had spoken with her boyfriend shortly before she died and complained of a nosebleed. He said the boyfriend advised her to seek immediate medical attention, adding that the boyfriend called back about 3 minutes later, but she did not answer. Umahi explained that after repeated attempts to reach her failed, her room was forced open and she was found dead. Coming up shortly on the news at 4, U.S. Republicans accuse Canada of wildfire inaction, and as on foreign scene, we also have sports news all coming after the break. Please stay with us. In the heart of Asaba, where the street tells the stories every single day.
From the corridors of powers to the decisions shaping governance and politics in Delta and Nigeria.
From traders counting every naira to families battling rising costs and uncertain times.
From football pitches to sporting successes to the major developments making the headlines all over the world.
And from the untold human stories, the struggles, victories, resilience, and hope of the everyday Nigerians.
This is the news beyond the headlines. Dott TV News are your trusted window to stories that truly matter to the people. Here, we don't just report events, we tell the human stories behind them.
Thanks for still being there. And now to the rest of our stories. A fire outbreak on Thursday destroyed goods and property in a one-story building on Ozobolo Street by Bida Road, Onitsha, the commercial hub of Anambra State. The blaze, which reportedly caused damage worth several million naira, was later brought under control by the Anambra State Fire Service. Fortunately, no casualties were recorded. The cause of the fire has yet to be confirmed and is under investigation, although preliminary reports suggest it started in an area where flammable materials, mainly cartons and other items, were stored. And now to Lagos State, where the State Public Works Corporation has appealed to residents for understanding as the state grapples with prolonged rainy season, which have resulted in widespread flooding and damage to roads and other public infrastructure. The agency's Director of Public Affairs, Samuel Ayetutu, disclosed this in a statement on behalf of the General Manager, Tokumbo Ajanaku. The statement acknowledged the inconvenience being experienced by motorists, commuters, and residents due to the deterioration of some roads across the state, assuring Lagosians that efforts were ongoing to keep the road network safe and motorable. And in Oyo State, a teacher rescued from the mass abduction of pupils and staff in Owerri local government area of Oyo State, Zachary Olatunde, has explained that the primary school pupils were dressed in matching native attire when they regained freedom because they had been abducted on a Friday, the designated day for traditional wears in schools. Olatunde said the clarification became necessary following claims on social media suggested that the pupils' coordinated Ankara outfits indicated the kidnapping had been staged. The teacher, who spent 56 days in captivity with 43 other victims, spoke in a video shared by Oyo Matters on Thursday, dismissing the allegations as baseless. The teacher also responded to comments questioning why the victims appeared relatively clean after weeks in captivity, revealing that the abductors occasionally washed their clothes whenever they became excessively dirty. And now to the foreign scene. Four Republican members of Congress have accused Canada of failing to do enough to prevent the wildfire smoke drifting into the United States. In a joint letter addressed to the Canadian Prime Minister, the Michigan lawmaker claimed continued inaction from Canada was becoming unacceptable. Canadian leader Mark Carney did not respond directly to the claims but said that both countries had a responsibility to fight climate change. As of Friday, there were more than 890 fires actively burning in Canada, with the majority burning out of control. For more stories on the foreign scene, let's now join Nkechi Chukwudi.
The US has launched a wave of strikes across Iran for the sixth night in a row, as the two sides battle over control of the Strait of Hormuz. US Central Command said the attacks were intended to further degrade Iranian military capabilities before saying it had boarded a vessel as part of its blockade of the Iranian ports. State media reported that the US had hit civilian infrastructure, including bridges, a train station, and an airport. Iranian Revolutionary Guards, the IRGC, say they have retaliated by striking U.S. maritime surveillance radar sites in Oman, as well as targets in Kuwait and Bahrain. They also claim to have attacked a U.S. Special Operations Command center in Syria. Meanwhile, catastrophic flash floods in Texas have killed 2 people and forced hundreds of rescues in areas still reeling from devastating floods a year ago. Governor Greg Abbott said rescues aboard boats and helicopters have saved more than 200 people, including stranded drivers and people trapped in homes. The governor said the hardest hit areas are expecting more rain into Friday and are not out of danger yet, with some rivers expected to reach historic levels. The governor said more than 2,000 first responders have been deployed and some evacuations began before the worst of the flooding. Elsewhere, at least 20 school children and 1 adult have been killed after a bus carrying pupils on a study trip crashed into eastern Uganda in one of the country's deadliest road accidents involving children in recent years. Dozens of others, including school staff, were injured in the crash in Kapachoa area on Thursday evening. Preliminary investigations show the bus suffered a mechanical fault before the driver lost control on the Chekowatiti Hill, a stretch of road that has been the site of several serious crashes, according to local officials. The pupils were returning from a study tour, with local media reporting that they had visited the Sipi Falls, a tourist area. Uganda records thousands of road deaths each year, with speeding, poorly maintained vehicles, and dangerous roads among the leading causes, according to traffic authorities. And finally, the Japanese parliament has approved a bill to relax imperial succession rules amid concerns over the dwindling size of the imperial family. The bill passed by the upper house on Friday allows the imperial family to adopt distant male relatives over the age of 15 and lets women keep their royal status after marrying outside the family. But it does not change the law barring women from ascending the throne, despite wide public support for a female emperor, meaning Princess Aiko. The only child of the current emperor is still not eligible to succeed the throne. The bill cleared the lower house last week and will move through to the final legal procedures before changes take effect. Japan has the world's oldest continuous hereditary monarchy, with a lineage that's believed to span more than 2,600 years. Currently first in line to the throne is 60-year-old Fumihito, the emperor's younger brother. Fumihito's son, 19-year-old Prince Hisahito, is second in line. Reporting for Dott Television News, Nkechi Chukwudi.
And for sports news, let's join Anthony Uche.
On the sports desk today, we start with some World Cup news where officials in New York and New Jersey have issued an air quality health alert because of the wildfire smoke just days before the World Cup final. Haze caused by Canadian wildfires has blanketed the New York region, prompting officials to urge residents to reduce outdoor exertion and stay indoors if possible. New York New Jersey Stadium, which is in East Rutherford, New Jersey, will host the final between Spain and Argentina on Sunday, the 19th of July. Conditions deteriorated just before Spain landed in New Jersey on Wednesday night, a day after their semi-final victory over France in Texas. Spain spent Thursday evening training outdoors, looking unaffected by the air quality. They have not commented on whether or not they are concerned. Argentina, meanwhile, stayed in Georgia after their semi-final win over England, but will begin training in New Jersey on Friday afternoon. Arsenal will assess William Saliba's back injury when he reports back to the club after the World Cup. The French centre-back has been dogged by a back issue for several weeks and carried the problem into the World Cup. The issue, though, appeared to be exacerbated during the World Cup semi-final loss to Spain when he was forced off after just 30 minutes. Surgery is among the options that will be considered by the Gunners when he returns to London, though an operation will probably require a long-term layoff to recover. The 25-year-old made 50 appearances in all competitions for Arsenal last season as they ended a 22-year wait to win the Premier League title and reach the Champions League final. Now to Formula 1, where McLaren's Lando Norris will have a 10-place grid penalty at the Belgian Grand Prix on Sunday as a result of exceeding the permitted number of engine parts. The world champion's car will be fitted with a new battery, Norris's fourth of the season, which is one above the permitted number. McLaren decided to fit the new unit along with taking the latest specification of Mercedes engine because the one Norris was using does not have the reliability fixes introduced after a series of failures this year. The team chose this weekend to take the penalty because overtaking is relatively easy at Spa and it is the last race before they introduce the first of two significant upgrade packages. Now to tennis, where Carlos Alcaraz has entered next month's Cincinnati Open as the world number 3 moves closer to returning from a wrist injury. The 7-time Grand Slam champion last played on tour in April when he suffered an injury at the Barcelona Open. He has since withdrawn from the French Open and Wimbledon, missing the chance to defend his Roland Garros title. Alcaraz will miss the Canadian Open, the next Masters tournament on the calendar, which is held in Montreal between the 2nd and 13th of August. But he intends to feature in the Cincinnati Open, also a Masters event which runs from the 13th to the 23rd of August. The 23-year-old will be looking to prove himself ready for the US Open, where he is the reigning champion. From the sports desk, Anthony Uche for Dott TV News.
That's all we have for you on Dott TV News at 4. Thank you for your time. I am Priscilla Ifani. Enjoy the rest of your day.